Be happy when you have problems, the lean mindset from Japan. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the concept of problems are not a problem, but also talk to you about some really neat observations that I made while in Japan that were really groundbreaking for me, that changed my mindset. And again, everything that we're doing here is for the purpose of wiring our brain. I was actually, before I started this video, I'll just show you, give you a peek into my immaturity in life. And have you ever been around a situation where you're like, that is just a stupid people thing. Like, I hate stupid people. And everybody feels that way. It's super normal. And then Kate would start getting after me and she would say, Jason, don't say that, that's me. And I was like, okay, well, that's an ill-prompted human. And she's like, you're still blaming people. I'm like, no, it's just like AI. A human brain can be prompted a certain way. Just like if you prompt AI the wrong way, it goes in the wrong direction. She's like, no. And I was like, okay, that behavior is ill-prompted. And she's finally let me stick with that one. So if I see something, I'm like, that behavior is ill-prompted. So the reason I'm talking about this concept is because we can prompt our brains so that we don't have ill-prompted thoughts or behaviors. And the point here is, if we brainwash ourselves to this, then we will be able to solve problems. Because here's the deal. When I went to Japan, and Paul Akers was talking to us and the leaders, they kept saying this thing that kind of threw me for a loop. Be grateful when you have problems. Now you would say, why would I be grateful when I have problems? And the answer is that problems are everywhere. We'll never not have problems. The point is that if you are seeing problems or people are bringing up to you problems, and that is the culture, then you are solving them at an accelerated rate. And you're able to use the genius of the team, and you're able to innovate, and you're able to rally people together in a common cause. And here's one example that I want to talk to you about. There were a couple of things after World War II when Japan was devastated. The United States, which actually is a beautifully benevolent story, and it also happened in Germany. The two things I talk about a lot after World War II is the United States could have conquered, and the Japanese people, under the direction of the emperor, they would have just kept fighting until the United States had to literally just annihilate everybody. But instead of that, MacArthur chose to partner with, there's some nuances to it, but to partner with the emperor, and then brought in experts to make radios and scale radio communication, and then to actually message with the emperor the rebuilding of Japan instead of the desolation of Japan, right? Instead of the absolute destruction. Beautiful, benevolent story when you think about it, especially for an enemy who attacked Pearl Harbor. And the same thing, just a real quick side note, happened in Germany. When the Allies took over West Berlin, the communists tried to isolate them and starve them into the Soviet bloc. And the Western Allies were like, okay, we can solve this, and started and engaged and executed the, I would say, most successful and astronomical, and I would say monumental logistical feat in the history of known humankind, to airdrop a plane a minute supplies into West Germany to feed them so that they could outlast the blockade. And look at the benevolence of the Western Allies in the Western world. Absolutely beautiful and absolutely top notch. And so after that, when Japan started to rebuild, they were grateful for a problem. And in fact, Paul Akers identified that typically there's a need for survival, then there's learning, then there's practice. And in fact, you see in the United States right now, we're all comfortable. We're all pretty wealthy. We're pretty well off. We don't have any need for survival. We don't have any problem that we're trying to solve together, so we're fighting each other. And that's why we're not winning right now, is because we're fighting ourselves and we're not solving a problem together. So if you're grateful for problems, and one of the problems after World War II is they had to rebuild the country. So they set some pretty lofty targets after, and this is like from 45 to 1975, they wanted to build a bullet train. Toyota wanted to win the Deming Prize, and they wanted to rebuild Japan. If you go there today, and Germany as well, you're like, this place was bombed? Wait, what? Like, how far they've come and the challenges that they had to overcome and the amount of working together that they had to do is just amazing. And so their concept is be grateful when you have problems, because then you work together, you innovate, and you have total participation. I heard them say this over and over. So typically, what do we do in the Western world? Oh, no, I don't have problems. Oh, Mom, my room's clean. Don't look in the closet, right? Like we don't have problems. In fact, we've worked with clients where they're like, oh my gosh, the roadblock removal system is the most amazing thing that has ever happened to us in the world, because we are flowing. We now switched from a 3-day tack time to a 2-day tack time, and we're on our way now next to a 1. We've cut off months from our overall schedule. We're saving hundreds of thousands of dollars. The team is happy. To other clients where they're like, hey, lean tack, we don't have roadblocks. Don't ask for roadblocks. Don't bring it up, because they're afraid of the toxic classical management paper leadership from corporate that's just going to bark at them, right? And that classical management world, that punishment, that shame world that we live in, a lot of times in the United States, is hiding problems. So then what happens? We don't identify them, we don't discuss them, we don't solve them, like Gino Wickman talks about in the book Traction, and we don't ever rally together. We don't actually come together as a team, and we don't work in total participation. I once heard a quote stateside that said, don't ever waste a good emergency, meaning like that is an opportunity for us to succeed. So here's the lean principle as it ties to construction. Problems are not a problem. Thinking that we don't have problems or wanting to hide problems is a problem, because then we don't identify, discuss, and solve problems. If you identify and discuss and solve problems, you can clear the way. I mean, this works at a business level, this works at a department or a functional area level, this works on the job site, this works with the crews. See, a lot of times Last Planner is implemented and everybody's like, oh, I just want to track PPC. I just want to know that we're doing right. The main focus of the Last Planner system is the identification of roadblocks and even farther upstream of system constraints, and to solve them. For flow and production don't come from pushing, they come from making work ready. And so what will happen, and I'll close this out really nicely, and this is what I was told, depending on the time, whether it's a day or a week, but I'll use the day metric, across the world, Japan, in any aspect of their factories, in their high mix, low volume, their production pods or line manufacturing, in a day, they will shut the lines down 2,000 times. And they're not looking for problems, actually, they're looking for variation, slight ripples. In the US, we're like, oh, big problems. No. They're looking for any little variation. Oh, that doesn't stop, call, wait. Paul Akers always says stop, call, wait. Stop the line or your production or your system or your process, and then call your teams, because we work as a team. We need to use the genius of the team, and wait to fix it, and do not start the line until we're ready, the variation is gone, and we have full kit. And this is a crucial concept for all of us. And so if we would get used to, and especially in construction, stop the line and don't start until we have full kit and bring all problems to the surface, we would flow like nobody's business. All lean construction and construction, all of it points to identification and removal of roadblocks and the optimization of bottlenecks or constraints in the system, which are two separate things. We have got to stop looping roadblocks and constraints together. They are separate in their definition, and we have to identify, discuss, and solve them. Problems are not a problem. Thinking that we don't have problems is a problem. So be grateful when you have problems on the macro level, because it brings everyone together with innovation, and on the micro level because you're clearing the path for flow. So here's the question. What can you do on your project site to start identifying, discussing, and solving these problems, and doing it as a group so you can see as a group, know as a group, and act as a group? I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.